welcome, I'm Zombie Kitty and welcome to another vlog series video, talking about stuff video. Ta-da! So these have literally arrived for me about a couple of hours ago by the time this video goes up. I am going to try and get this up on the same day that this arrived. But yeah, there was a different video that was supposed to go up today, but this is going to actually take priority. But the latest issues for The Incredible Jackie Boy Man, or The Somewhat Incredible Jackie Boy Man, and Void Silver has arrived to me finally. I'm so excited. I've already read through them very, very quickly. And I have thoughts. Not too much, probably not as much as the previous videos, but I do have thoughts. So as usual, we're going to start off with The Somewhat Incredible Jackie Boy Man. So it's teased in the last issue or the issue before that there was going to be zombies in this. This is that issue. So there's zombies, there's werewolves, and before I go into this, I've just remembered as well, there's going to be spoilers for the comics. I'm going to be spoiling everything for the comics. So if you've not got the recent issue of Void Silver and Somewhat Jackie Boy Man, yeah, I'm going to be spoiling them. So, okay, you've had enough time to get off the video. So, they're not actually werewolves and zombies. The creatures, what they actually are, because I theorised that the experiments that we've been seeing occasionally, I thought that was going to have something to do with this. No, it turns out that this particular comic is one giant Scooby-Doo episode. Which I find funny, and there is a moment later on in the comic that I really appreciated. But I would have liked it if actually weird things were happening because of this experiment that's in space, with the beam going into this creature and them getting energy from it. I wish that, as well as this is how Jackie gets his powers, I wish it had a knock-on effect with like, oh, it's bringing in all these creatures that shouldn't exist as well. And that's what I originally thought it was going to be, but that's not the case. But what I do like about this is when Jackie Boy Man does realise what's going on, and he realises that all of these werewolves and zombies are actually just members of this horror film club where they build costumes, they create costumes and like special effects and stuff. What I liked about it is that two of the members who didn't really want to be going too far with this to this point, he ends up thinking, okay, they just need help. They just need someone to talk to, and it seems that they are more confident when they're in a costume, just like him. And I really, really liked that he resolved their particular issue through just talking, through communication, and actually had a proper discussion with them to say, look, like, maybe don't hang around with, his name is Caleb, who was the troublemaker one, who he finds out has been in legal trouble before. And Jackie just sits these other two members down and says, look, you know, don't get involved with him anymore. Like, you clearly didn't want to be this far into it, so, you know, just relax, step away from that, and continue what you were originally doing with the club. And in that, I really appreciated this. He didn't resolve things, even though he does end up beating them up when they're in costume because he doesn't realise that they're not real. But by the end of it, he resolves things through communication, through a form of self-help, which I really, really appreciated. That was actually really, really nice to see. The other thing I really liked as well is that at one point the two members, they end up saying goodbye to him and actually say, you know, hit us up, contact us if you ever need a better costume. So I'm hoping that those two characters are actually going to come back in later issues where they can make him a more advanced costume rather than the weird like jeans and hoodie that he's wearing. I think that could be really interesting, and I hope that is like a foreshadowing to them coming back and him sort of improving and getting more gadgets and stuff like that. I think that could be really, really cool. Big thing I think we need to talk about is the ending. The very last panel of the comic is, so we know from the last issue that he got his powers because of this energy. And you find out the energy was essentially, when it got onto the computer equipment in the laboratory, it was rotting everything away from the inside. The last panel, he goes back home after dealing with this, takes off his shirt, and there is literally a black rotting hole in his chest. The energy is also doing the same to him. And for a while, one of the lab workers does reunite with him and say, like, I don't understand how you got powers for this, and actually that it's not destroying you, because what happened to you is not a good thing. Like, you should not be okay with this. And yeah, it's caught up with him. So I'm interested to know how that's going to progress. I'm very interested to know how that's going to progress, how that's going to go. The other thing as well is there has to be a connection between the laboratory called Ion X. So there has to be a connection between them and Iris. Maybe they're like a subdivision or this universe's version of Iris, but I feel like there has to be some connection there, especially with the recent tweets that we've got from Iris. So I keep bashing my elbow on the table. From the recent tweets that we've got from Iris, I don't know, I feel like at some point it's going to come to a head where there's going to be a connection. And Jack and Bad Egg Publishing, who are publishers for the comic, they actually had a panel at New York Comic Con. It is up on YouTube now. I will put the link in the description below so you guys can watch the full panel. But they have said that this issue now that I've just got is, I think, the midpoint to the comic books. So we're going to have 3 or 4 issues left, and then that will be it for the comics for the time being. So I'm interested to know how this is going to progress, how it's going to go. Obviously, they said all the plans and the ending has already been planned out. They know where it's going to go. They know how the story's going to end. I don't know where the story's going to end with Jackie. I don't know where that's going to go. But yeah, that is slightly worrying. So the next one is Void Silver, which is Marvin's comic. You will notice as well, sorry, I don't have my usual Marvin makeup and the ALTRverse and stuff. I'm not feeling too well, so I guess, yeah, I'm in my pyjamas. So I do apologise for that. The next comic video, I will do the Marvin makeup, but I didn't feel like it for today. But this issue of Void Silver goes through Marvin's journey as he, at the end of the last issue, he said he failed the entrance exam to get into the academy. But what he's been offered instead is the role into the magic circle itself. But they've said, like, what you're going to be doing is a researcher, so you can't use your magic. That's essentially what this comic is. It goes through the years of him going from a kid to an adult or a young adult, and him getting slowly frustrated with the fact that he can't use his magic. We do see what the entrance exam actually is, and when he does his entrance exam, the reason he fails is because it seems that his magic is too strong for the academy, but also he uses a type of magic that is essentially forbidden. It's very rare, it's forbidden, it's something for the magic circle to keep an eye on, and the magic comes naturally to him. And as the years go on, obviously he gets frustrated because he can't do any magic. He's only allowed to study and do book reading and stuff. He watches all his other classmates get awarded their particular roles in the magic circle, and understandably he gets really jealous and frustrated with that. What's interesting is that I think it's interesting that he has an actual magic for him, but at one point he says, my magic comes from a limitless and unknown source. Everything comes back to Auntie. I think, because going back to the experiment, and I know that was in the Jackie Boy Man comic, but going back to the experiment, I think the creature, which I think is Auntie, I think has something to do with it. Because they said that the energy that it brought out affects not just the world and universe that Jackie is in, but every universe in existence. I think that's where Marvin has got his power from. I think it's from Auntie, because even when he uses his power, there's like green mist and green like smoke and stuff. And even the shields that he used, like his shield magic, like Doctor Strange kind of thing, is green. So yeah, I think he's getting his powers from Auntie without realising it, because he doesn't know that. I think Jackie has got his powers from Auntie. Everything, when you get down to the bare bones, everything comes back to Auntie. So I think there's got to be a connection at some point where they do end up meeting. I think it was teased that Jackie and Marvin are going to end up meeting at some point. I apologise if you can hear a knocking. I keep smacking my elbow on the table. But I think there's got to be some point where they do meet. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I feel like it's got to happen at some point, and then realising where they got their powers from. But that's where I think it is coming from. And at the end of the day, I do understand Marvin's frustration of not being able to use his magic. It does get to the end of the comic where he goes out onto the coast and gets frustrated and like just unleashes his magic, and that causes a bit of a boat accident, that causes an issue. It is proved to the magic circle that this is dangerous, but at the same time I get where he's coming from, but I also get where the magic circle is coming from. It also makes sense that in the very first issue, where we see what his role is, he's not allowed to interfere with anything too much. That makes sense now. The magic circle essentially see him as a threat, and they see him as dangerous and something to keep an eye on and to keep like restricted. And I get that, but I also understand Marvin's frustration as well. But yeah, I'm very interested to know where this is going to go now. I think we have reached the halfway point in the series, in the comic series. There's got to start being connections. I think Ion X is something to keep an eye on. I think that might be a version of Iris in Jackie's universe. And that, yeah, there's something's got to happen. It's got to come to a head at some point. So I'm interested to know where that's going to go. I don't know where it's going to go in terms of Jackie and his problem with his body essentially rotting away. I don't really know where that's going to go. The only thing I can think of is that if Marvin and Jackie do meet, maybe Marvin can help him. But that's the only thing I can think of at the moment. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I think the next thing that's probably going to come out in terms of this overall like Ego universe is either the next comic issue or it's going to be the game. Because remember, there is that Overnight Watch game. So it will either be that or be the next comic issue. But yeah, this is probably going to be a much shorter video compared to the others. I don't have as much to say with this one, but there's already some interesting things going on here, as well as some not so great things for our characters. So this was my review and theory video on issue 2 of Void Silver and the Somewhat Incredible Jackie Boy Man. Yay, they finally arrived. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye!